Hello and welcome to the 8th video in the series about UEFN maps optimization. In this video, I want to talk about AsicsoN maps and lots of text cards in particular. I see many people struggle with blurred images and project size because they think that using 2K maps per single word is acceptable and actually fight against optimization. And I feel their pain. So I will show you best practice working with textures in such situations. So let's begin. So to optimize our maps on the texture side, one of the best practice is using atlases. Especially on the mobile devices, atlas is super useful. And atlas, it means we can pack multiple things, multiple images, multiple text inside of the larger one texture, and then choose what part of the texture to display when we need it. And in this video, I want to cover a little bit how we're creating these atlases because I had like more and more questions about that. I will show that in the Photoshop because this is main application I'm using. But again, I believe you can create that in any applications, like free versions, I mean. But yeah, let's dive in. So new, I like to work with the maximum resolution possible in UEFN. So it's a 248 because later on, if I will see that, yeah, this is too much, I can reduce that. It's fine. But if I will start, let's say with 1K and I see that it's too low, I can go up, right? Because we can only go down. So working with the maximum resolution possible, it's smart. And then we can always reduce that when we need that. So 248 by 248, I will use 8-bit, RGB, and black background. I like black background, but in this case, it will help us. But in many cases, it doesn't matter. And yeah, everything else is fine. So let's create. So first thing, we need always to think how many elements we want in this atlas. In my case now, I know that I want 4x4 grid. So it means 16 texts. Sometimes you can even add more, maybe like how many 8x8, right? And or even like 16x16, so like crazy amount of this. But you're sacrificing pixels, right? Because each grid will give only a certain amount of pixels per element, like again, icon or text. So because this one, it's a 248 by 248, if I'm splitting it into 4, it means each my thing, this element, will have 512 by 512. Normally 512 by 512, it's totally acceptable. And we can even go lower, but let's start with 512. And how to split in the grid, it's super easy here. So view, guidelines, and then layout. So it's basically how many I should set. So I would set 4x4. And you see, this is basically our atlas. It will be, as I said, like 4x4. It's 16 in top, inside. But what I want as well to get where is the center, because I won't snap it. So then each element will be precisely in the center. And what I will do is just add it double. So like 8. Okay. So now I know that, for example, this cross, yeah, so this is dead center, this is dead center, this is, yeah, and so on and so forth. So it's much easier to then snap it precisely. What I want to show first is basically how you adding colorful stuff into Atlas, but then I will dive into much more optimization for the text specifically. So I have my icons. I'll just drag them and drop in here from the folder, and because they were one by one, so I just like accept. Okay, that's fine. Then I will grab move tool and I can place them and scale as I want. So it's not ideal, but I'm just showing, right? And as you can see, like it's that in the center, then accept, then move this one. And normally what I will do, so we can snap it, but you see now I'm doing this manually, I'm scaling, and I don't know what resolution was on that one and what's on this. So what's better to do? So let's just delete all of that. Instead of dropping them inside of here, we can create a new, and actually let me check resolution. So helps to know resolution of this icon. So I know that they now 512 by 512. So this is what I will create. I don't have here. So let's set new. So let's grab again a few of them, Just drop, and you see they fully covering that. Again, accept. And now if I would want now change resolution of all of them, instead of manually dragging, just going image size, and let's say I can set 256. And if I will disable this one, I would adjust manually both sides, but then with this one enabled, it's basically does proportionally. And that's it. So now you see I have that, and then I'm always can select them all again and drag and drop in here. So then I could put this as 256, yeah, if I would want. Or same, let's Control Z. So if we have it there, or let's say one by one, and if I'm placing it, it's actually snaps. You can even see by these dots that they're in the center horizontally and vertically. So this is like that. And if you would want maybe a little bit smaller, but so you can always scale it here for all of them. So then you will have more space because, yeah, you see, like it's just barely touching. Maybe for you it's fine. Yeah, but yeah, it's all depends what you want. And placing them on a black background, this means then you can use this as a opacity. So then it would remove background. So for example, if I will select that one, we can hide that one and bring it here. And like that. And this is actually how we creating Atlas. It's simple as that. And then we just save a copy. I'm usually working with PNG. You can use, for example, Targa. But like in UEFN, it doesn't matter because in the game, it will compress them still both same way and it will show same size independent on that. It's just only like on your local drive, it will use more space because PNG is lighter. Yeah, it's that. But let's now really quickly start doing text. So I wanted to show in this video more text. This was colorful, and we just dropping them in here. With a text, we have more flexibility because usually text in Tycoons, they one single color, and there is no much going on like in texture based. It's basically a flat color, and this is really cool because then we can use white text inside of our atlas, and in material we can change texture, we can change color, right? Because we can use this text as a mask because it's a white, black and white. It's cool. And what's even cooler is that we have 3 channels. We could use even 4 channel alpha as a 4th channel, but I constantly have issues exporting something inside of Photoshop into UEFN and then have that as workable. For example, comparing with this atlas with text. Some stuff, it's easier to put in alpha, and I recommend, for example, like height maps. But in this case with text, I had like trouble. So yeah, it's better. We can just use 3 channel. It's still a lot. So it means that we have 16, places where to add text, but then 16 we can multiply by 3 because in each channel we can pack different text. And it means 48 texts. And this is crazy. So you imagine instead of having 48 images, separate images, you have only 1. So let's do this. Let's go back to our layers, our text, this tool. I have Fortnite font. If you don't know how to install it, it's super simple. Google, find Fortnite. It's a free font you can find. And then when you download it to your drive, double click, it will show up pop-up window, and there is in the corner will be install. Just install. If you had open Photoshop, restart it, and you should have it in here. Okay, so let's start with that. So I have a bunch of text, what I want to add, like this. So I will show you how to add and how to then split into channels. So I will show just few, and then I will jump into video where I have everything done, and then we can continue. So let's start with claim. It's actually pretty small text. I will use more or less with for whole text, like all of this text words, 170 pixels is just to keep more consistency. Some of them won't fit, so then I will scale them down, but 170 was working for majority. But you can always, because you see I'm losing lots of space in here, I could try fit each text into all this, like, to get more pixels. It would be more better for resolution. I need to apply. So that's totally fine. And another thing what I will highly recommend is basically think how you can reuse not just only assets, but even such thing as a words. So for example, we have claim base, right? When player starts, and we always have claim base. But then if you would create word claim base, then for example, you need to create word, maybe claim gift or claim this something, right? But then if you using them as a separate inside of the game, you can just add claim and then use another word and another word, and you don't need to repeat same words many times. Because if you have, for example, in here space, you can add. That's not a problem, right? Nothing will harm if you would add like that. But I don't see a point, because like then it would be more scalable, so then reusable. This claim then you can use in other locations where you would just want, because otherwise, let's say you created this atlas, now later on in development you think, okay, I now need another word with a claim, and I need now update my atlas. So maybe in atlas there's no more space and you have this issue, but if you would have this as like that, it's more manageable. Okay, so base, then was dropper, and as you can see, our dropper is not fitting in this location. What I will do, I will try play, just reducing it until it fits. Yeah, like that. Fine. Accept. This one is even bigger. This one can be back 170. And as you can see again, with these additional lines, it's much easier to position that because it snaps. So again, that's could be many things free, right? Free gift, free, I don't know, like a dropper, and we can reuse this word. Okay, so now I will just cut video and then I will return where all this will be finished. Okay, I haven't finished fully yet, but I want to show this process as well. So I finished only one, but I said we need 3 copies because we have 3 channel. So when we've done the first copy, I will just select first one, shift select last one, and then Ctrl G, and it will group in a folder. Then I will just untick this visibility, and that's it. And I will start from the beginning. So then again, I will create 16, then again, I will group, and then again 16, and then again we'll group. So basically creating 3 groups. Okay, so I've done 3 groups, as we can see here. So one is here, then this is second, and then this is last one. So what we need to do now, basically to tell Photoshop which group to put in what channel. And this is super easy to do as well. So let's start with the top one. This will be our red channel, then will be our green channel and blue channel. So with this one, what I like to do normally is just make a copy of that. So let's Control J and then Control G. It's basically we create duplicates and we put them in a separate group. Just in case we want to edit, because what I want now is select again all of this inside of the first group, right click and merge layers. So now they become texture and we can't now edit them with a text tool. So that's why I have copies just in case. So we have that. And now same thing with rest. And let's hide that. Let's open second group. Again, select all that. Control J, Control G. So we have that copy, hide. Now again, select all of them and merge layers. And now last one. Control J, Control G, hide, select, and merge. Okay, so now we have all the 3 groups. Now let's go back to first one. And in adjustments, we need curves. And in the curves, we have RGB. And then we have 3 channels separately. Because this should be on the red channel. So we need to remove any information from green and blue. See, so I'm changing to green. Grab that and go to 0. So basically to black. Now blue 1. And again. And actually, I need to see that channel. let's hide that and let's show this one. Yep. So now you see a whole text become red. Don't worry, it won't be red, but it's fine. So we have that. And when we're adding the curve and basically any of these adjustments, they will go from top and apply to all layers below them. But if you will hold Alt and you see in between them, if I will hold mouse, it shows this arrow. This means if I will click now this layer only applies to this layer. Yeah, so this layer with curve, it only applies to this layer, but these two layers won't be affected. So this is cool. So it's that. Now let's hide that. Let's open again. Second, let's click on this. So we need to create that adjustment curve just above them. And again, curve. And you see it's creating there. So now, because it's a green channel, so we're not touching green. So we need red, drag down, blue, drag down. And you can see text now became green while it's here. So again, Alt, click. Now it only applies to this one. Let's hide and unhide this one. Curves. So red, 0, green, 0. Now it's blue. And again, click on this. Now let's unhide all of them. And you can see that now 3 of them overlapping. But if you see here, so it will be same mess. But what we can do now is select this layer, yeah, where we have text. And in here, so this is blending, how we can blend between layers. And we just set linear dodge add. And in the second one, same, linear dodge add. And we not touching last one. And look, something changed a little bit, right? Now let's go back to our channels. Let's disable them so we can only see one channel at a time. So if I'm clicking red, look, I have all the text in my red. If I'm clicking on green, it's a totally different text. Now in blue, again. So I already packed all these 16 times these words per each layer into each layer. Simple as that. And now if I unhide, so it looks like this. So it means that when, again, inside of the material, you see, when I will look the channel, I will have black and white. And again, this is our mask. And you can use this for opacity or for color, anything. So cool. So this is done. And if you would remove this background, you see, so this is where you would get opacity. But I don't want that. I want black. So we've done here. Save a copy. I will save it as a PNG. So I like to use a prefix explaining what this is. So it's T, texture, then take on words and atlas. Sometimes here I'm just adding BC, so it's base color, or it could be ORM, so it's ambient occlusion, roughness, and metallic, or it could be N, it stands for normal. Let's save, okay. And now let's jump into UEFN. So inside of the UEFN, let's jump in here and I will create new folder. Now, where is my atlas? So I will drag and drop it from the folder into UEFN. Cool. Now let's open it. So straight away, LOD bias, I will set it to 0. So then I see it in a full resolution. It's 2K. Then actually, I forgot one thing. One thing in the Photoshop. In here, when let's hide all the text. So on the first that I can click and I can apply stroke. Okay. And in my video already, I think like it was a timer. Oh no, sharp text in the games. This is the same technique. So basically we're creating gradient around the text. Okay. Let's disable that. Let's come close like that. So we can see. So again, here the effects and stroke. So in here you can play how far the gradient should go, as you can see. So I think something around like 15. In this case, it's fine. Could be 20, right? Oh, as it was, maybe 16, it's fine. So then position should be center. blend mode normal, opacity 100. In a gradient, in here, if it's color or pattern, so it should be gradient, and in a gradient, it should be shape burst. By default, it will be linear. And then, because it's shape burst, it goes from the center in all directions. It doesn't care about, you see, angle. And scale is 100%. So like that. So I apply, and same I will do for that. And because you see, like, I set it once, all these parameters, and it will remember. So just okay. And for that one, stroke, and okay. Now if I will hide that and preview this, it looks same. And then if I'll preview this, it looks same. So let's unhide all of them. So now in here, let's right click and apply rasterize layer style. Okay. And then on this one as well. And on this one as well. So now when we rasterize these layers, you can see that this stuff, it's changed to normal. So let's put it back to linear dodge add. This one as well. Okay, and this one should be on normal. So now let's preview our channels. So we see our red channel, see our green channel and blue channel. And now we have this little gradient. So it is distant field around our text. Cool. So now with all of this, let's save it. So again, PNG, I will select same texture and save, overwrite. Okay. Now let's jump back to UEFN. In here, right click on a texture. Because I overwrite the original one, if I will do re-import, it basically will refresh to that version I had. So let's remove again that one. And you can see that there is now gradient around the text. Cool. So that's working. Now, what we need to do is just change compression to vector displacement map. So our size will grow, right? But at the same time, don't forget that we have 48 words in there. So we're saving 48 textures, which would combine still into a pretty large number in here. So we're sacrificing that. And I'm sure I won't even need this 2K. So probably I will try with 1K, and this will significantly reduce size anyways. So vector displacement, and I need to remove sRGB because it's not sRGB because we're using black and white in a separate each channel. Okay, and I don't think we need anything else in here. So I will just set rich to power of 2. It always reminds me that, okay, I was here, I already done stuff. Okay, let's save. Now let's jump into material creation. Material, like words flipbook, because we will use flipbook to then jump between words. Okay, so first of all, we don't want lit, so it will be unlit. And instead of opaque, it will be masked. So we will have that transparency. And that black will serve us as an opacity. Okay, so that's done. So now let's flipbook. Then we need first one parameter, it's how many rows we have. Then columns. So this one, rows, this one, columns. Now multiply together. And actually we already know that it will be 4 by 4, but I'm creating them as a scalar parameter because later on maybe we have a different amount of rows and columns, so we can always adjust. Okay, so we multiply it, then divide 1 by this result. Then I need to multiply again by our number. So this number will represent our word, and it's a start with a 0. I'm keeping 2 words together. If this is basically like, if I would want later maybe control that from the verse wouldn't see if I'm adding space. Or you can do like this. Or if you don't care about verse, you can add space. So let's add it here. And final in here, it will be fraction. Because what it does is basically, when people multiply 4 by 4, it will be 16. when we will divide 1 by 16, it basically will split it, this 1, into range between 0 and 1. So then when we will pass this number, so even for example, we will pass 15 because we're starting with a 0, so it means we're passing 15 numbers, we actually, this number will go between 0 and 1. Because in here, you see, like, we need to pass between 0 and 1. But I know that in my index will be more, because I have 48 words in there. So definitely more than 16. So that's why I will fracture. So it will reset, but I need it to go beyond. Just in a second, I will explain. So I have frag, then texture sample. Let's select texture and then add it here. So is that, then UVs. Now I need to control which channel to use. And I don't want to, let's say I'm lazy, I don't want to control it manually each time to tell like, oh yeah, this word is from this channel, that, and plus I will forget. Let's automate that. So we'll use switch. So switch node, it basically works with integers. So it's 0, it will be one channel, 1, it will be second, and so on and so forth. So we can add as many channels as we want. So we want 3. And I will just call it, so then I don't forget. Red, green, and blue. Okay. So first channel and default should be same. So let's red in default and in red. Then we have green, and then we have blue. That's it. So now when we have 0, it will use red channel. When we have 1, green, and when it's 2, it will be blue. Automatic. Cool. But how we'll pass this information? How we know? We can use F mode. So F mode works similar as a frag, but frag, it always goes between 0 and 1. And it doesn't matter what you will pass. But F mode, it's as well can work in a way. And it's just only like if we will pass number, for example, like that, it will reset. So for example, if from here, because this one will go between 0 and 1, but it will actually go beyond 1 because we will pass more than, again, than 15. If I will debug that number and start previewing, so you see we have that, and then let's say we have 10, right? And see it goes 0.62, then 13, really close, then 14, and as I said, 15, it should be our 16th word because it starts from the 0. So 15, you see it's 193, and then 16, it in here, it shows 1. So it means before it was below 1. So if we passing less than 1, it will always count as a 1, as a 0, sorry. And then it could be like 1.5, it still will count as a 1. So if I will now pass this one right in here, so now look, if I'm setting it 20, right, 25, see, it still will be 1 in here until I will reach 31. So this is our last texture in the green channel. Now 32, you see now it's 2, and now it will switch into blue channel. So cool, it's automatic. So let's place it somewhere here so it's more organized. Cool. And we can actually preview that. See, so this is our claim. And I'm saying it's 32, right? Now, for example, 35, 47, see, 1, 0, and we have our words. But they look really blurry. And this is done on a purpose. Because if I will try to use it as is, without this blur, it would have some like artifacts, like low resolution, like pixelation on the edges. So then we need more resolution in the texture. But with this technique, we don't. So we're getting that. And now because there is this gradient, this distance field, we can actually use smooth step to control sharpness of our text. Pretty cool. So let's call it sharpness minimum, sharpness maximum. Now let's play with these numbers. So I will set it 0.25 and this one pretty close. Now look at this text. Beautiful. How sharp it is. So closer together these numbers, more sharpness you will add. But same time, you can have, like you can lose volume in your text. Let me show you. So for example, in that way, it's growing, but then in this way, let's say if I will put it 0.3 or even let's say 0.5, and this one should be, it goes in, it's inverts because now minimum it's larger than maximum. So don't worry. Let's go larger. So you see now if I'm on 0.55, you can see that something is weird going on with our text, right? And actually it's hard to preview because not really quickly shows that. Let's apply this on our plane so we can show that dynamically. I mean, it's like when we applying now, I need to always add number and then stop adding until I can see it, but I won't see it right away. So let's apply it like that. Now you can see I can really quickly see that. And let's put it back as it was. So 35, 25. And you can see how thicker A and W is. And now if I'm going that way, you see it erases that text. So if I'll put it on 55, and now if I will increase minimum, you see our text gets thinner. It's again, play with this. You can get interesting results, and it's up to you how you want it. I want it on this. For me, it's fine. So let's keep it that way. And we're pretty much done. What I want to add now is outlines. So in the tycoons, I saw that lots of text, they have these outlines around them. And because we don't have that in our texture, we can add that. Let's use sign. And for the sign, I will, to control a little bit it, so thickness of the outline, I will use smooth step again. You can create scalar parameters, but I will just input numbers because I know what I need. 0.6 and 0.75. So this is our mask for our outlines. If I will preview that, see? And again, if I would play with these numbers, this outline could be thicker or thinner. Pretty cool. And plus, it's really sharp quality. So now, because it's a mask for the outline, we can use layer with the colors. So just in case, I will use saturate, just in case we have it between 0 and 1, because who knows. And let's create two colors. So one, so if black is there, so it means it's A, and then outline is white, so it's a B. So let's check this out. Should be this one white. Yep, like that. And we have that. So it's cool. So now we know which one is which. So let's call it text color, no space. And this one will be text outline color. Ooh. And final thing is we need remove background. And it's actually, we already have it in here. So we can just take it to opacity. We have with outlines. Really cool. And what I want, final thing, actually, no, two things. One thing is we need to make it rotate always to the camera. Second thing, I don't want to have millions of material instances. So today we will use custom data. It's super easy to do as well. So let's click on this, and you can do this only with parameters. So this is color parameter, for example, and this is constant. So constant means you can't edit it, and you can see like you don't have many options here. So with this one, I will just tick this, use custom primitive data. That's it. And for each separate parameter, you need to specify different index because they can't overlap. So this one will be our first. Then what we want else? So it's this. Then for that camera rotation, facing camera, it will be another one. And for the color, let's add color. So again, use primitive data. And in here, it should be 1 now because 0 was our words index. In here, pay attention because I selected only one node, and you may think, oh yeah, this is 1, and now outline should be 2. Let's enable that. right? And it should be like that. It should be 2. And it's actually will overlap. Why? Because actually each channel in here, it's counted as a float. It's basically counted as a scalar parameter, separate one. And in here on top, you may see index 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is how many indexes this one node uses. So I see 4 is last one, so it means our next one should be 5 instead of 2. So selecting this one, we need change to 5. So you see like 4 and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So next index should be 9. So we added that and let's test it. So now when I have my plane, scroll down, let's show all, scroll down, and we see here custom primitive data defaults. And in here we have word index, we can plus that, and then text color, we have color, and then outline color. Cool. Now back in here, I can set text, pretty cool, like that, and I can change color. And now, for example, I don't know, I want another text in here. And as I said, like we don't even need material instances because we're controlling everything in here. And yeah, there's, for example, floor, and or actually here could be, yeah, second, and here floor, see? And we have second floor, just like that. And what I want now is that, you see, if I will look from here, it's not facing me. So it's not facing camera. So let's add that. It's simple to do, like with a sprite, and then connect it world position offset. And in here, only we need one thing. It's a scale. So it again will be our scalar parameter with size X and size Y. I will set by default, I think it's like 100. And this actually will scale your plane automatically. And it's important to have that. Then append vector and into scale. Now in the size, let's not forget our last one index was 8. So we need to start with a 9. So in here, let's say 9 index and 10. Oh yeah, I don't see it because by default they're not enabled, you see? So we need to click plus, plus, and we have our text. So if it's too small, let's put it 200, 200. And this text is actually pretty large. I think it's like 2 meters. So by this size, it still holds pretty well. Now we will jump back to our texture. You see we can preview all this. Yeah, so this is our red channel again. This is our green channel. This is our blue channel. And let's try second LOD. So now we're trying 1K, and you can see difference is huge. So here it's almost 22 megabytes, but when we on 1K, it's 5.5. Huge difference, but look at that. Do you see blurriness or like pixelation, especially on edges? No, I don't see. So again, we have 48 text to play with, and it's easy to adjust. And for example, like 47, and you can change color, white. If you will go beyond, it will start repeating. See, like so, 47, it's our last one. And then 48, it starts basically from 0. So just nothing will happen if you will go beyond how many these words you have in your atlas, but it's basically no point because it will just repeat. So let's say it's maybe like 15, yeah, 10, like that. And on top of that, later on, you can add, for example, movement up and down, and rotation, maybe something, some animations. So I have videos about that as well. So you can combine that with your this sprite as well. So it will face camera, but same time it can go, for example, bounce like up and down. So hopefully now you will know how to work with this lots and lots of text in a Tycoon maps especially, and you won't have troubles with your this texture quality, because what I saw many people doing is basically they disabling meme maps first of all, and they're disabling streaming, so they put like never stream. What streaming, it's important, as I mentioned in my previous series of this optimization videos, is that streaming not allows to even try to load too many textures at the same time. Basically, it starts with a lower resolution and then goes into higher resolution if you need that. If you're disabling that, you're trying to load everything at once and you will struggle. But in here, you have only one texture, Atlas, and you have 48 text in there. So it means it only loads only one texture. And it's 1K resolution in 5.5 megabytes. And even in here, if you will hover over that, you can see it's basically disk size. It says like even less than megabyte. So hopefully this will now solve your problems with textures in Tycoons, and have fun. I would like to say thank you to my all supporters. I appreciate your support. Thank you for your generosity. You can join our growing Discord community, where we like to discuss UEFN tips and tricks, showcase our work, and help each other. You can find link in the description or in the channel header. You can get project files on my Patreon or just buy me a coffee to support me. If you're interested in learning more about UEFN materials, coding, widget UI, and more, feel free to subscribe and click that bell icon to get notifications when new videos will be released. See you soon.